Andrew Thompson's journey towards the championship title hasn't been without its hiccups. For all the hype of this all-conquering Triple Eight entry into the development series, it all went horribly wrong when he and Nick Percat came together in the opening round at Adelaide.
Percat down the inside, bumped the back of Thompson and sends him around.
It was pretty, amateurish from him because there was never going to be a move on there, and now I think he'll say that it was his fault, but obviously the damage was done at that corner, and that can have a big bearing on a driver's year and our championship. You look back on it, it was bad at the time, but it was also a very good thing because it really gave us a lot more drive and obviously to work harder and get ourselves back into the championship lead and obviously push throughout the year.
Clearly spurred on to make the most of the equipment and resources behind him, this year was an opportunity to rebuild a career that he almost walked away from after a horror run in the main series.
2010 was a pretty tough year, and I was pretty disappointed and pretty down at the end of last year, and it was to the point that I was probably looking to maybe step away and take a couple of years away from the sport because I'd had a couple of failed attempts, and I just was never given the right opportunity and the right environment to show what I can do.
The year brought with it an opportunity to race at Bathurst alongside Jamie Whincup. Despite mechanical gremlins, the experience further ignited his determination to succeed.
That experience working with Jamie and Duddo, his engineer, and the rest of the Team Vodafone guys was huge for me. I learnt so much, saw so many things, and as a driver I think I definitely pick my game and obviously try to raise and sort of get to more of a level at the Jamie and they run at.
For a driver who could have been lost from the sport a year ago, he's sure to relish the spoils that come from being the 2011 Fujitsu Series champion.
For myself, it's just, it's that continuation of rebuilding and just sort of getting myself back to where I think I should be and just proving that, I have been given the raw end of the stick over the last few years and have someone who puts a bit of faith in me, give me a go and look what happens.
The weather has turned for this final race of the weekend and of the season. It is wet. Most of the field are on wet weather tyres. Some have gambled on slicks, but the track is certainly wet at the moment. The grid is the finishing order of race one, so it's Thompson and Percat on the front row. But the fight that I'm watching here is Perkins and David Russell. Russell has 53 points up on Perkins going into this race, and they're starting with one another on the grid. So Jack needs to get away from him, and Russell needs to fall into the field for Jack to finish second.
Those guys will be going at it hammer and tongs for sure. The pictures I saw of the track then, I'd want to be on wet weather tyres. I do not want to be on slicks out there at the moment, but these guys will all try and drive the car away cleanly. The slippery conditions, they're so hard to get away without any wheel spin. You nearly drive it away like a road car. David Russell nearly tried to get between Percat and Thompson, not a place I'd like to be, and Chaz Mostert up the inside into third place too.
And you've got to be careful of the white lines here in the surface changes when you're trying to pull up on a wet track. Oh, Perkins was sideways now. The Sonic team have got Rodney Jane's car repaired. It is starting from the rear of the grid, but Marcus Zucanovic, the STR track body's Commodore, well, it probably needs a track body on it because it got badly smashed and it's not starting this one.
And Jack Perkins and Andrew Jones going into turn two side by side. Jack Perkins decides it's easier to go through the chicane than around it, and they both live to fight another day, but Jack's actually made a fair bit of ground on Andrew Jones there by going through the chicane, so it's a bit dodgy.
Morris closing in on David Russell. It's real tippy-toe stuff. It's not raining, it's not fully wet, but it's still damp, it's still greasy, it's still wet weather territory.
I'll tell you, it's very, very slippery. And street tracks are horrible in the rain. You've got white lines, the curbs are very, very slippery, and you've got no margin of error. You can see the cars slithering around all over the place. Now, Andrew Thompson's out in front. He's not known as a wet weather specialist, but today he can prove us all wrong, and hopefully he can stay out front. But we've got...
Oh, Percat up the inside. He's got through to the lead.
Yeah, that's a good move. You can see it looks like they're going so slowly, but especially at the start of the race where these very hard wet weather, Dunlop wet weather tyres are nice and cold, it takes quite a few laps for them to generate any grip.
Morris has got through on David Russell, and now he goes to third on Chaz Mostert. This is a pretty volatile little pack. On board with Perkins, right with David Russell. But it's Percat who's got his nose in front. He won the first round in Adelaide, but he did it without winning a race. He still hasn't won a race in the Fujitsu Series, but he is a Bathurst champ.
Yeah, and Paul Morris is the one who's really got his head down in this race early on. The early stages of these races can really be dictated by how everyone sets their tyre pressures. If you start with slightly higher pressures, your car could be really quick out the gate. Maybe he'll struggle later in the race, or vice versa. So in any case, Morris is right on the pace. Jack Perkins getting a great run there, going past Chaz Mostert. We've got a guard rubbing on David Russell's car too, it looked like, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Morris making a lunge on Thompson. He's through to second spot, and Morris was pinged 25 points for that contact with Taz Douglas in the first race. This is Rodney Jones starting down the back of the pack. Robert Cregan. That was close.
He was very, very sideways there. He must have been... Oh, Morris in trouble there. He ran very wide, and I've got a... No, he got through it. He's very slow, though.
He's gassed it up and got going again, but Thompson takes back second spot, and it's delayed the pack to allow Percat to get away. And
the problem at that turn 6-7 chicane is if you run wide, there's nowhere to go because the turn 7 part of the chicane is completely blocked with tyres. So you've got no chance to sort of shortcut the chicane or something like you normally would.
Now, having a look at the road, it's still definitely wet weather tyre country, but as the race goes on, if the track dries out, these guys need to look after the wet weather tyre because it will fall. It'll be like having 4 bits of licorice on your wheels.
That's right. I mean, it's a 17-lap race. It's more than long enough for the track to dry out enough to be... Here we go, David Russell up the inside of Jack. These guys are going to fight all race long. This is where it's all happening. Forget the race for the lead. Jack Perkins, David Russell is going to be. It's going to be on.
Remember, it's for second in the championship. It's.
Oh, we heard Jack on the radio there. I think Okay, Mick Ritter telling him what to do. You don't argue with Mick. When he tells you to keep nice and smooth and concentrate, that's what you do.
Now this is Morris. He runs it wide, bounces in off the curb.
He did very well. There we go. You can hear it.
Got
did very well there not to get stuck in those tyres, but deep under brakes up the inside of Thompson again for the second time at that corner, so he's recovering from his mistake and coming back through a lot of pace in the Paul Morris Motorsport car at the moment.
There's still a bit of smoke coming off the side of the Sergeant Security Commodore, but it's Nick Percat who leads the way. It's the final race of the year. More from Sydney in the set. Nick Percat is the race leader. Final race of the year in the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. The track is just starting to dry a little bit. These guys are on wet weather tyres. It was wet when we started this race, but now it's going to become almost a conservation run to make sure that you keep the rubber on the car for the next 13 laps.
Every lap these guys do, the track's getting drier and drier, so you will see some of the guys going offline down the straight to try and get a bit of water on the wet weather tyres and cool them down a bit. You don't want them overheating. Saying that, the Dunlop wet weather tyre is quite hard and withstands these drying sort of conditions pretty well, so it won't be too much of a problem for them, I don't think.
Perkins moves to third.
Tomo on the cutback though, he's going to get right in that little pocket where you get the fantastic slipstream effect when you're sort of just behind it to the side, so Tomo fights back and back up the inside into turn 2.
That Morris car is still smoking from the left front. Perkins decides he's not even going to try to make the chicane, and Morris's thing's getting worse. Have a look at the smoke pouring off it.
I don't know if that's tyre smoke or something from the...
that's way worse. That's terminal.
It's no good at all. Is that suspension or is it something with the motor? I'm not 100% sure. It looks
that's right front.
Yeah, something in the right front's broken. It could be a shock absorber. The wheel's still where it should be, but it's fallen right down on the suspension. So I'd hazard a guess that he's broken a right front shock absorber.
Perkins to second. Thompson, Russell, Mostert. There's McLaughlin in the background. He's making good progress. Started 10th. And he'll pick up another spot because Morris is limping.
Yeah, so he's had a big weekend for fightbacks. He came through in race 1 and now he's coming through from 10th again. So plenty of pace in the Fujitsu entry at the moment too. David
Russell looking to put a move on Andrew Thompson in the Jayco Ford from Matty White's team at the moment. He's on target for that runner-up position in the championship. He's racing Jack Perkins, but even if Thompson's in between them, that's okay. He's got a margin. Remember, it's 53 points. We'll keep you updated on the number situation for the rest of this race.
Now you can really hear the guys being especially you can hear Jack being so gentle on the throttle, shifting early, trying to keep the rear wheels driving instead of wheel spinning.
Here's Morris, limping. That is busted. It is going to the lane, and he is done for the Fujitsu Series for 2011.
That's a pity for Paul. He was having a really good race, had plenty of speed, and, you know, I was expecting him to get up to Nick Percat and challenge for the lead.
Were you sensing some controversy about to occur between the two?
I was hoping for it.
We're riding on board with Jack Perkins, this Sonic Falcon. It's an ex-888 Jamie Whincup car. It's the championship and Bathurst winning car from 2008. And that's what's great about this series. All of these cars have history in the main championship. Andrew Jones decides turn 1 escape road is better than tyre wall.
Yeah, that was probably a good move there, but you can see to the right of the screen the dry line starting to appear.
Smoking the cabin. Be steam.
Now this is Tim Blanchard's car, but it's not his voice. That's Nick Cassidy, who was up in front, and the right front's let go again.
It's amazing. I can't believe they've broken so many front shock absorbers this weekend. So there's obviously something not right with the front of that car, which is causing them to break. Maybe something's binding up, but not ideal for Nick.
He'll have to limp it around. He was pinged 25 points for the contact on Robert Cregan in race 1. Tim Blanchard's had a bit of drama with seeing out of the front of this Jayco Ford. I think he's in there. It's a bit hard to see.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than these dry, wet sort of races when the windscreen gets all smeared and maybe a bit of oil and there's all sorts of dirt and stuff all over it. Makes it very hard to see.
You can see on the run of turn 1, there's a definitive dry line starting to emerge. There are cars in the field that started on slick tyres, and hearing from pit lane that 2 of the Greg Murphy cars, Tony Bates and Jeff Emery, definitely have.
Maybe search for some water, keep those tyres cool if you can.
And Aaron McGill is the other one, the privateer from Mittagong in New South Wales. Their pace is going to be good very soon.
They'll be loving the side of this dry line, and I can, from the look of the track at the moment, their lap times will be getting quicker and quicker and quicker. At the same time, the guys on wets will be looking for water to try and cool their tyres down. So there's definitely a crossover phase of the race happening right now.
And the thing with the guys on the wets, they're not going to get any better. If the track dries, the tyres only deteriorate worse and worse and worse. There's no recovery.
Yeah, I mean, for the fight that we can see now from 1st to 5th, it's not going to make a big difference. You can see David Russell looking for the water there to cool his tyres down.
There's not much there, though.
Yeah, but they're all on wet, so it makes no difference. But there'll be a couple of guys, as you said, coming from the back of the pack on slicks. They could play a part by the end of the race, for sure.
Replay there again of Nick Cassidy, the Drill Pro Commodore, busting the right front again. Look at Russell. He's searching for all the H2O he can find.
And look at McLaughlin, he's really pushing forward. He started from 10th on the grid and he's challenging these guys now. Having a look up the inside, maybe, maybe not. Difficult to overtake in these conditions though, because once you get off the dry line, no grip.
It's a good little fight. 4th place on the line. More from Sydney Olympic Park when we come back. 20 happening while we were in the break here in the Fujitsu Series at Sydney Olympic Park. Scott McLaughlin has been chipping his way through the order. He got this move done on the Simpro Ford of Chaz Mostert, and then not long later got by David Russell, who is really starting to struggle with that Jayco Ford. David Wall, well, he hit the wall. Boom, straight in, trying to put a move on Taz Douglas. And we have had a change of the lead. Jack Perkins tried it here, didn't get it done. He led for about 3 seconds, but then he got it done here at turn 9.
And now we can see Aaron McGill on slick tyres really coming on strong at the end of the race, pressuring David Russell.
And this is big, Alex. This is for 6th place. If Russell loses 6th, if he drops to 7th and Perkins wins, he loses 2nd in the championship.
You can see David Russell struggling for traction. These wet weather tyres have turned to licorice, but he's fighting for all he's got. He wants to hang on to this position.
And Aaron McGill hasn't been this far up the field in a long, long time. He runs a very small privateer team with a lot of help from basically volunteers. It's not a big full-time V8 Supercar Championship level team, but he's made a smart call today and he's up the inside. Russell has to give in. He can't do anything. He can't fight him. And he's kissing 2nd goodbye and he can't do anything about it.
Absolutely nothing he can do. He's just going to have to hope that something happens to Jack Perkins.
McGill is through to position 6. This is an ex-John Briggs motorsport car. It's a very old car. It's 8 years old. It's had more coats of paint than you and I have had hot breakfasts. But he's doing a great job. And this is a little bit of sugar for what has been a lot of hard work. He started more rounds of this series than any other driver. And he's 25 seconds off the lead. At one stage there, it was looking like he could have got to the top 3 or 4, but this man has controlled the race, and Perkins has cleared away from Nick Percat.
He's really cleared away. He's got nothing but air in front and behind him. On board with Jack here, nice and relaxed in the car, as you'd expect from a guy with that much experience. And he'll just be, taking it nice and easy, not risking anything, bringing it home to the flag now. Great to get a race win for him.
He won his first race of the year in the last round at Sandown in Melbourne.
You can see now the track's completely dry. The guys on slick tyres will be 4 or 5 seconds a lap quicker than these guys struggling around on wets. Jack doesn't have to worry about it, but anyone who's in front of this guy, Aaron McGill,
I sense
will
a
have
bit of
something to worry about. I'm worried for him at the moment, though.
No. And that might explain, Alex, why his pace hasn't been able to stay at the same rate that he was taking time back before.
I'm not sure if it's because he scared himself a bit there or damaged his car, but the old girl looks pretty solid.
Percat there in second. Thompson has had a pretty comfortable run. He's third. McLaughlin started 10th. He's got to 4th. Mostert next, and that was McGill a little bit further down the road.
Yep, he's going to be clawing these guys in hand over fist. As I said, probably 4 or 5 seconds a lap, so he's got to not give up until he's across the line.
He started from 19th, and the reality is he had nothing to lose. He may as well have rolled the dice, had a gamble. He's going to come up in front of where he was.
Yep, it's a fantastic result for him, and sometimes you've got to have a crack. You've got to roll the dice a little bit, as you said. Jack Perkins starting his final lap for the last race of the season.
This will be a nice way to go into the off-season break. Still plans up in the air. Asked Jack earlier in the weekend what's on. He said, well, there's a few good enduro gigs that are being discussed, but I really want to drive something full-time.
This is the worst time of the year for a racing driver without a contract for the final year. Ask me. It's not pleasant at all, but just about everyone out there in the development series. I'm not the only one on the planet in this position, I can tell you, but Jack's not thinking about any of that at the moment. He's thinking about finishing this race off and wrapping up another race win for the year.
Watching the timing screen too, and Jeff Emery, who started on slicks, he's the fast man. He's charging through. He's gone by David Russell. I think he's going to get Aaron McGill as well and end up in position 6, which locks in Perkins even better for second in the championship.
Yeah, poor David Russell will be devastated that the race has turned out this way. But what I'm really surprised at is how far Jack Perkins is cleared out in front on the wet weather tyres. I mean, Nick Percat or McLaughlin, none of those guys have been able to even come close to hanging with him. So it's a very, very good performance.
And what this will do is it'll mean that Sonic, for the 3rd year in a row, they did it with Moffat, they did it with Blanchard, they're going to do it with Jack Perkins. They're going to finish runner-up in the Fujitsu series. Perkins takes his 4th career race win in the series. A little bit of a sting from the boys at Sonic. We like a bit of spice.
And Jack Perkins not holding back with his thoughts after that race at all, but he'll be excited. It's a great achievement. 3rd
place for Thompson is enough to clinch the round. He wins his 6th straight round. He ties out a Macros record from 05 and 06, but Jack Perkins with the win. 2nd in the championship, Privateers Cup winner, and on the podium for the weekend too.
Oh, but it's not all over yet. We've got a big battle on the last few corners. Tony Bates up the inside.
And he's just snowplowed his own teammate, Daniel Gillison. He was on slicks and had a spin very early in the wet conditions, but has come charging through, and that's got him 10th place on the last corner.
Gillison and Cedars side by side over the line too, nothing in it there.
And Gillison did get home for position 11. Perkins, they got home for the win. Percat 2nd, Thompson 3rd, and McLaughlin from 10th to 4th.
Well, Jack, the Privateers Cup, you got it and showed what you boys can do.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was a very, very good one for my career. I tell you, you're only as good as your last race. Someone else might have won the championship, but that is trying conditions. Really equalises the cars, and we came out on top. Very proud of my guys, Sonic, Super Cheap Auto, Bob Jane Team Arts, and AccuCheck. Thanks.
Big smile on the face.
Yeah, I can't complain. I'm really happy now. We go to summer, have a bit of a breather, and see what's in store next year.
It's a round win for Thompson. Just 3 points clear, though, of Nick Percat. Perkins rounds out the podium. Chaz Mostert 4th, David Russell 5th, and Tim Blanchard rounded out the 10.
Gee, nicely took out the round as well as the championship. It's a nice weekend.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome weekend. Obviously that race is pretty difficult with all the different conditions, so we just tried to play it smart, but not get involved in anything too stupid. And championship and a round win to finish the year off. It's been awesome. To thank all the Triple Eight boys, Monster and Gear, and just everyone. They've gave me an awesome opportunity this year, and I just tried to maximise it to the best of my ability, and I think I proved that in all conditions.
Thompson wins 295 clear of Jack Perkins, who pips David Russell at the post. Have to feel so sorry for the Team Jayco driver. He's done a great job all year. McLaughlin fourth, a great job for the Fujitsu driver. And Tim Blanchard rounds out the top 5. But to the champion goes the trophy. Andrew Thompson and 888 Race Engineering, too strong in 2011. So another season down in the V8 Supercars Development Series. It'll have a new name next year, and it all starts on the streets of Adelaide at the Clipsal 500 in March. We'll see you there.